Hello, second grade artists. This week, friends, we are going to be finishing up our printmaking project that we started last week by making our printing plates. This week, you'll get to actually do some printing with me using your printing kit and some paper that we're going to go take out of our art folder now, friends. So let's go see the materials we need to make our project today. In our art folder today, there is 8 small, square, colorful pieces of paper and 1 medium-sized white square piece of paper. We need all of those pieces for our printmaking today, friends. Now again, printmaking can get kind of messy, so please make sure you're working on something like a table today, not on the floor or in your bed or on the couch. And if you're very worried about making a mess, please maybe put down something like paper towel or newspaper under where you're working. Now that I'm ready to maybe make a small mess, I'll take out my printing plate, my black paint, and my Q-tips from my bag. Again, if we were doing a real printing project like you might do in high school or in college, we would be using things like printing ink and brayers, which are a type of roller to roll our ink across our plate. But today, because we're still learning from home, we'll be using paint and Q-tips. So, printmaking, my friends, is a process. That means sometimes it takes a while for us to get our best results. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to make their best print on the first try, but you have 8 tries today, my friends, to make your 4 best prints. Again, I say best because I know not every print will be amazing and not every print will be bad. But what I'm starting to do right now is to ink up my plate. Again, we're not really using ink today, but that is the term for applying ink onto the plate. Notice how I'm carefully going around my shapes and kind of applying a thick layer, not too thick though, because I don't want my paint to dry super fast. But I'm covering the whole shape in black so I don't see any parts that are still colorful. The first time you ink up your plate, my friends, it might take a little bit of time just to really get everything well inked up. So don't rush. Again, if I don't have enough ink on something, it might look like that where I can still see some color, or if I press too hard, I might take too much of that paint off as well. So kind of rub gently. Now you can still see some color from these shapes on the edges because these foam shapes stick up, and that's okay. We only need to put paint on the tops of them. So here's my printmaking plate. I'm going to hold it closer so you can see. All of my shapes have a nice kind of glossy layer of black paint on them. Then, when I'm ready, I'll pick one of these colors. I always recommend picking a color that maybe isn't your favorite color for your first print, just in case it's not your best. For instance, orange is not one of my favorite colors. So I might go ahead and do my first print on orange by taking my plate and flipping it upside down and setting it carefully on my paper. Now, I need to make sure it doesn't move, but I do need to hold it with some nice flat hands and count a fast 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I might even just gently kind of rub in the middle to make sure that all my stickers touched the paper. Now, I'll go ahead and peel my printing plate off. Notice I'm using one finger to hold the paper down. Well, my print turned out okay, but again, it was my first one. I notice there's some shapes that could use a little bit more paint this time. So now that I've learned how I did on the first one, I can set that aside and I can try this process again. Again, this time I'm going to make sure that I put a little bit more paint on those shapes that maybe need some more. I'm going to ink the whole thing back up again and try my second print. Again, you have 8 chances today, my friends, to make your 4 best prints. Typically, it takes me to about my second or third print to have my best. And again, it's okay if your prints aren't amazing or great. Just try your best. So my second time around, that definitely went a little bit faster. I'm going to pick another color, I'll set it down, and I'll set my printmaking plate gently on top of it. Again, I'll go ahead and hold and push gently for about 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe even do a little bit of gentle rubbing. And let's see how it turned out this time. So again, I had a couple shapes that maybe could use even a little bit more. So here's a small little cheat that you can do as well, friends. And I don't recommend doing this on every one of them, but if you do need to touch up a few shapes, you can use your Q-tip and touch up just a few little spots to make your print a little bit better if you want. Again, be careful doing that, because if you do accidentally drop your Q-tip, you could take a good print and maybe turn it into a not so good print, right? So here's my first 2. And again, already my second one is looking better. I'm going to go ahead now, friends. I'm going to speed up this part of the video. I'm going to print all the rest of my 6 pieces that I have, so that way you can see how mine turned out as well. As always, if you need to pause the video here, you can. Catch up and then restart the video when you're ready. Here's how my printing turned out today. And again, even though that part of the video was very fast, friends, I took my time and tried my best to make all 8 of my prints the best they could be. Again, occasionally I touched a few up to make them better, but I left some that weren't the best, and that's okay too, because now all I need to do is pick my 4 best to put on this piece of paper. Now here's the tough part, artists. Right now, all of my prints are still very wet. So you might just want to watch this step right now and do the step later when your prints are dry. Or if you do have a glue bottle that you could use, here's how I'm going to glue mine on, even though they're still wet right now. I'm going to go ahead on my white piece of paper with my glue. I'm going to draw a box on my paper. Notice how my box is smaller than the paper is. And then I'm going to go ahead and just make kind of a zigzag line going back and forth inside of my box. Now, when I set my papers down, they will go ahead and lay flat in that glue and stay glued even while the paint dries. So now it's time to pick my 4 best. Now, I'm a little sad because some of my best ones were on some of my not so best ones were on some of my favorite colors. Like green is one of my favorite colors. Didn't turn out my best. Even pink didn't turn out my best. But if you really love those colors and they're not your best, artists, that's okay as well if you want to include them on your final piece of art. But I will pick my 4 best today. So I think my red one is one of my best. So I'll go ahead, carefully push it down into my glue. I think my light blue is another one of my best. I also think my purple turned out really well. As for my last one, I think today I'll go with my dark blue. So again, these are the 4 that I think are my best, or the 4 that I decided to put on my final piece of paper. The rest of these ones, artists, you can either let dry and you can keep them, or you can go ahead and throw them away if you'd like. You do not have to send me a picture of those. Your plate as well, you can decide to let it dry and keep it and use it again, because you might have some extra paint still. You had a second Q-tip just in case you needed a second one. So again, if you want to keep those items, just let them dry first. And as always, when we finish an art project, like I just did here, again, if you need to wait and glue your pieces, that's okay. But when I'm completely finished, I do need to take a picture of my finished work and submit that picture either on Seesaw or Artsonia. Please don't forget to do that, artists, as this is the only way that I might get to see your finished work, so I can give you a grade that you deserve for your hard work, friends. I'm going to go ahead, say my BYE now, and I hope, artists, that you enjoyed learning about the printmaking process.